Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 232nd episode of the Focus TV. Joined by Octavia Wyatt, we got Raymond Lyons, Wilson Turpey Jr., and got a lot to get to. We're going to talk some NFC East, as always, because never a dull moment in that division. And the NFC is a crapshoot since you either have a good record or you're 3-5. Those are the rules. There's no in-betweens in the NFC. Ray's going to talk some Wizards Go-Go. Big weekend for them both. If you haven't heard, he will fill you in. We're going to talk to Cardell about 8:30. Again, college basketball season started today for those of you who may not have realized, even though, it's all over your televisions at the moment. It's back into everyone's life. He's going to call in from GW, talk about that a little bit. I'll update you guys on some Maryland women's basketball. And, 9-4-50 breakdown. We're going to DC United. I can't wait to talk to you guys about how their season, I'm not even going to say what happened. We're gonna talk about it. We're going to talk ourselves through it, like a little therapy session a little bit later on in the show. But Octavia, the floor is yours with NFC East.
Just the NFC East, we all know, is always crazy. But this week, the whole NFL decided to be crazy. Let's just go ahead and throw that out there. I don't know what the heck happened this week. There was just a lot of nonsense that occurred. But some of the nonsense definitely occurred in the NFC East, as always. So this week, I'm actually going to start with the only team that won this week. The Giants. Who knew? Whoever would have thought that I would say the Giants? That's ridiculous. But the Giants did beat the Raiders this week, 23-16. Daniel Jones was 15 of 20, 110 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 carries for 17 yards. But he did lose a fumble. That seems normal. Devonte Booker had 21 carries for 99 yards, 3 receptions for 3 yards. And surprise, surprise, Evan Ingram, 3 receptions, 38 yards for 1 touchdown. It's the Giants. I'm sorry. Yes, they had a great game. Their defense was finally able to put together, a good showing. Xavier McKinney with the 2 interceptions. Pick 6 was one of them. We all know that the Las Vegas Raiders are going through it. And when I say that, I literally mean that. From the John Gruden situation to now the Henry Ruggs situation to now the Arnett situation. At this point, just throw the whole franchise away and start over. They just moved to Las Vegas, and it's already a mess. But outside of that, like I say, any other time, you have to play the team that's in front of you. And the Giants showed up when it counted, and they were able to be victorious. Daniel Jones was able to, put together a decent game. 15 of 20 is, kind of low as far as what we're used to seeing him throw for. And even rushing, he's usually a good rusher, but this just shows that they had more of a balanced attack this week. The offensive line was able to fairly keep him standing upright for majority of the game. And Booker had a good game. 21 carries for 99 yards, replacing Saquon right now, who is still out. They still have a lot of injuries that they dealt with over this past season so far. I'm sure they can't wait to get Saquon back. But, give them their credit for this week. They have a bye next week, so they'll be able to rest up. Hopefully they'll get some of their key players back, i.e. Saquon. He's the one that they're waiting for. I know Kenny Golladay and some of the other wide receivers are out as well, but so they get Saquon back. That's a lot of their offense back. So we'll see if it's even, at this point worth them coming back. The NFC East is the NFC East, but as I said, the NFL in its own self is a little bit crazy. So mathematically, there are a few teams in the NFC East that are not technically out of the wild card, but let's just say they're out of the wild card. Another team that is technically not out of the wild card, but I'm going to say it's out of the wild card, is the Philadelphia Eagles. They played the Chargers this week. They lost to the Chargers 27-24. Jalen Hurts was 11 of 17, 162 yards, 1 touchdown, and 10 carries for 62 yards. Jordan Howard, 17 carries for 71 yards and 1 touchdown. And Devonte Smith, 5 receptions, 116 yards and 1 touchdown. As I said on Sunday, I'm not surprised. Maybe 4 to 5 weeks ago when I saw this game on our schedule, I just automatically said we're getting demolished. So to come out of the game, losing by 3, and them being able to kind of hold their own going back and forth, With them, there were at least 3 ties and at least 3 to 4 lead changes in this game. It was a decent showing. The only thing that was not decent is, again, every quarterback that plays against us they just light us up, and it's more so just because of the defense. Either we can get pressure or we can't. If we can't get pressure, it's going to be a long game. And that's what happened. Herbert became the 5th quarterback this season to complete more than 80% of his passes against the Eagles. And those other quarterbacks include Dak Prescott, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, and Derek Carr. So it's been really, really tough on the defense. Secondary, especially, like I said, I feel like the front, they have their games, but I just feel like for most of the time, it's always the secondary that's injured or not playing well. We did have some injuries this week. Devonte Maddox went out with a knee injury, I believe, and then Darius Slay had a hamstring injury. So again, we're back to square one with secondary being hurt. I went on record on Sunday, so it hasn't been the same since Malcolm Jenkins left and went back to the Saints, and it's just been downhill ever since then. I think this is the reason they're stockpiling a lot of younger corners and safeties just to see if they can develop them. But it's going to be a long season until we can get that taken care of. On the flip side of it, the running game is starting to be more aggressive and more dominant. Yes, against the Chargers, who has one of the worst running defenses. They did what they were supposed to do. Jordan Howard was 71 yards, and 62 yards from Hurts. So they ended up with, a good amount of rushing yards against them. And like I said, going toe to toe. But at the end, it just wasn't enough, but I still see progress. That's the only thing that I'm really looking for in this season. I don't expect much for a postseason run or anything like that. So as long as they can improve week over week, that's all we can really ask for. Devonte Smith finally having another breakout game. He hasn't had a good game really, stats-wise, since week 1 when he scored a touchdown. Then he has not scored a touchdown since then until this past game. So looking to get him more involved, hopefully going forward, because he is the wide receiver core. As we've seen, Jalen Reagor still hasn't come on. Quez Watkins has his moments. JJ Arthur-Whiteside was injured. I don't even know why he's still there. Again, they really need to get more solid wide receiver help, probably some veteran wide receiver help. I think that will help a lot. But again, at this point, we're just looking forward to next year. Next week, they're going to play against a team that if they played how they played this week, next week, I'm not going to be too happy. Play the Broncos next week. And the Broncos surprised a lot of people this week, including myself. The Broncos played the Cowboys this week and defeated the Cowboys 30-16. Dak Prescott was 19 of 39, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 2 carries for 16 yards. Ezekiel Elliott had 10 carries for 51 yards and 3 receptions for 25 yards. And I didn't even bother to mention all the other wide receivers. The only one that really mattered in this game was Malik Turner with 5 receptions for 33 yards and 2 touchdowns in garbage time, let's be honest. I would have never expected to see a game like that ever. I opted to actually watch the Cowboys game over the Giants game. I had them on the second TV. I was really wanted to see how the Cowboys would perform with Dak coming back from, the injury that he had with his calf. And they were just all out of sync. I've never seen anything. Well, I can't say never, but this season, I've never seen anything like that with them. Dak was missing throws. Murray had his first drop of the season. CeeDee Lamb, Dak was missing him. The offensive line was getting ran over. Terrence Steele was not that great this week. He had 11 pressures on Dak. So Dak was kind of running for his life this week after coming off of a calf injury. It's not really a good look for him. Tyron Smith was out with an ankle. They need to get him back ASAP if they don't want something like that to continue. Because as we've talked about in the season so far, we know that anything can change at any given moment, which is the big reason why a lot of people were trying to see if Dak was even going to play this week. The concern was, well, it's just the Broncos. They should be able to win. They have a lead in the NFC East, but he elected to play, and we see how that went. The defense, Trayvon Diggs got burnt, for lack of a better term. We talked about him. I was a huge fan of his. I'm still a huge fan of his. I know, but he seems to be a ball hawk, and some people are taking advantage of his eyes. He's always in the backfield. He's staring at the quarterback and not really paying attention to who he's covering. And he got burned by Tim Patrick, which honestly was the least wide receiver that I thought would do that in this game where you have Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. But it was a total domination. The score does not reflect what actually happened. They had him 30-0 at one point. Dak was able to get 2 garbage touchdowns to Malik Turner at the end of the game. And a lot of people are still up in arms and deciding, should Dak have even still been in the game at that point? I see both sides of the situation. Dak didn't play last week. They're trying to get him some game time reps. Understandable, but you're down 30-0. You have somebody who came off of a horrific ankle injury last year, having a calf injury on the same leg, and it's not going to really do anything. Having him out there with less than a minute left, putting his body on the line for a 2-point conversion, I just didn't understand it in that aspect because he's injured, but I understand it if you want to get him some reps. But again, I really think this is an anomaly. A lot of people are saying, is this the blueprint to beat the Cowboys? I really think it's an anomaly because Michael Parsons was still everywhere. Zeke, has a knee injury in this game, and you could tell they were 0 for 4 on fourth downs in this game, and it was just really tough to see for them. But the Broncos, they showed up and they showed out, especially after trading away Von Miller. A lot of people thought that they were, giving up on the season, and you can see that they're not. So we play them next week. As far as the Eagles, the Cowboys will have, a game next week against the Falcons, who are actually coming off of a decent win over the Saints. So hopefully, we'll see what happens. But again, any given Sunday, you never know.
You definitely don't. It was a very, very weird Sunday for the entire
I don't know what the heck happened. I literally lost every fantasy game because everybody decided not to play this week. I don't know what happened.
Hey, man,
Josh
everybody
Allen
started James
get killed by Josh Allen. Come on. It was just ridiculous.
Hey, so
we're going to try again
now
next
for
week.
another wild Sunday. Yeah, more wild Sundays. All chaos. That's all I ever want. I'm here for all of it. At least 7 more weeks of it. I'm going to pass this thing along to Keith. We want to talk about chaos continuing. Shout out to you. I think Arizona finally got a win for the first time in 7 calendar years. At least that's what it felt like. But Keith got more on that in this week's Pac-12 segment. When we get back, Raymond got the latest for you on the Wizards and the Go-Go, who had a very busy weekend. That weekend hurt me. It's been 2 years since we had to do that much in terms of leaving the house. See y'all when Keith's done, though.
What's up, guys? I'm back another week to talk about Pac-12 football. Let's get right into it. First, we've got Utah versus Stanford. This was a flat-out beatdown, 52-7. It was basically what the score tells. Linebacker Devin Lloyd for Utah had an outstanding game, 9 tackles, 1 sack, and not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 tackles for losses. You do not hear that often, that a defender has more than 3 is really just out of this world. But when you have 5 tackles for losses, that means you were flying around the field at the linebacker position. Nonetheless, isn't amazing. He is on everybody's draft board. Expect him to be a top 25 pick coming out of this year's draft. He is everything a linebacker in any team would want. He flies. He's quick. His sideline to sideline speed is there. He just has it all that you want. He can cover as well, and when you need him to blitz, he can do that as well. He's everything you need in a linebacker. Tavion Thomas, nonetheless, he carried the offense. Cameron Rising had a slow game. He had 140 passing yards, but when Tavion Thomas has 20 carries and 177 rushing yards, it's what else can you expect him to do? You're not going to pass the ball. Let's reference the 49ers when they played Green Bay. When they have Raheem Mostert running for 200-plus yards, did they pass the ball? No, because they're going to go with what's working. So they continue to do that, and they got the job done 52-7. Moving on to ASU, I was at the game. It was an amazing game. First, we're going to start off with the fact that there was a fox that ran onto the field midway through the first quarter. Like, how does that even happen? How do you get a Fox onto the field? It's such an Arizona thing to happen, but ASU manhandled them. They won 31-16. Nonetheless, USC was without wide receiver Drake London, so obviously that plays a part. But they did slow down Keontae Ingram. He's always been going off the past few weeks. He only had 54 rushing yards. Slavis and Jackson Dart, the backup quarterback, who will be impressive in. I promise you guys, he will be a really good quarterback in coming years. He had both him and Slavis had an interception. So obviously ASU's defense came to play. The game plan was much better this week than it was in previous weeks. They knew what they wanted to do. But let's focus on the guy, the man who just stole the show, Rashad White, 200-plus rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. When you have a guy like that in the backfield, and he's not getting as much draft hype as he deserves, I watched this guy live in my face. When I tell you he is elusive, he is fast, he has game-breaking speed, he will beat you, he will have the long run, and for some reason, this guy just enjoys hurdling. He will jump over your defender with no second guess at all. He is what I'm telling you. Put him behind a good offensive line, he will succeed in the NFL and become a really impressive back. He has it all. He was at one point the leading receiver for ASU, so obviously he can do it out the backfield. I promise you, this guy is impressive. This guy has it all when it comes to the running back position, and he will continue to impress. And I guarantee you, by the time the combine comes around, he will impress a lot of scouts. Let's move on to maybe the most gritty game, but also nonetheless, U of A finally got a win. They broke the streak. I think it was like a 19-game losing streak, but they finally won a game. They won 10-3 versus Cal. Garbers didn't play, so that obviously played a part, but they couldn't get the running game going. Then they had 28 rushing yards total. When that happens, that's never a succeeding plan when you have 28 rushing yards. U of A rushed the field after the game, and obviously that's not a big game, but when you are on a 19-game losing streak and you win a game, you're going to rush the field. It's an exciting win for them. It definitely is what the program needed. I'm not going to say it necessarily gets them back on their feet, but it is a step in the right direction to know that it wasn't a complete bust this season. Now let's go into more entertaining things. Boulder outlasted Oklahoma State 37-34. Brandon Lewis had a 3-touchdown performance. That is a great job from the quarterback for Boulder. That's exactly what he needed. Brendan Rice, son of Jerry Rice, he only had 1 target for 5 yards, but he's still a young guy. But the guy who we are really going to focus on is Jared Broussard. I have been talking to you guys every game. Every game that they lose, the plan that has seemed to happen, or not seemed to happen for them, is that, and the pattern is that Broussard does not get the ball or does not succeed like he needs. Broussard went off this game, 24 carries, 151 rushing yards, and they win. And they put up 37 points. So obviously something's going right when you get this man the ball. That should be the plan every game. Get him the ball. Oregon State's B.J. Baylor, his running back, had 98 rushing yards in the score, but it just wasn't enough to get the job done. Nonetheless, like I've been telling you guys from the beginning, you get Jared Broussard the ball, you win games. If they continue to do that, they can win games. Finally, our last game of the week, 4th-ranked Oregon beats Washington 26-16. But if I was an Oregon fan, I would not be too happy about the win. Being 4th-ranked means you're in the college football playoffs. That is the last place they deserve to be. Oregon's quarterback, Anthony Brown, had under 100 passing yards. You will never win. You will never succeed in the college football playoffs if you cannot trust your quarterback to make the plays. Travis Dye went off for 211 rushing yards and 1 score, but if the passing game doesn't work and you can't trust this guy to go against the Alabamas, the Georgias, to defeat those defenses, then it's a problem. But nonetheless, you see the pattern of this week is that establishing the run is huge in all of these games. Look at Utah. They had Tavion Thomas 177 yards. ASU 200 yards from Rashad White. U of A held Cal to under 30 rushing yards. Boulder, they had Jared Broussard with 151 rushing yards. Travis Dye for Oregon. Obviously, this pattern of establishing the run game is meaning something more and more for these teams. And sooner or later, they're going to realize that, and someone's going to pick up on it and just have a dominant run game and run the Pac-12. Soon it will happen. Keep your eye on Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah. He continues to impress scouts and continues to get better at sideline to sideline, and he's always in that hole. Nonetheless, this is Keith. I am back for another week. I will see you guys next week for the Pac-12. Peace.
Appreciate it, Keith. We truly appreciate it. Look forward to next week. See what happens. And a crazy conference. We got a wild division on the NFL side and a crazy conference on the college side. All right, Ray, Wizards and Go-Go, very busy weekend. Let the people know what they missed, if they missed it.
Yeah, man, busy indeed. Both teams played twice. The Wizards had 2 impressive wins. They beat Memphis 115-87 on Friday, and they took down Milwaukee on Sunday 101-94. Like I said, 2 great wins. On Friday they were just dominant all around. I got to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure that was John Morant's worst game of the season to date. They held him completely in check. He wasn't able to get to the rim. And they just bottled him up. And then on Sunday, they had Milwaukee in town. They were down a few guys. So, Giannis was going to try to shoulder the load. And, while his box score was impressive, but, watching the game, you never felt that, he was in complete control. They did a great job, walling him up and, and trying to contain him. And to the point where they were able to come away with the win. We talk about it ad nauseum on Wizards Outlook. The main thing we're looking at is their defense. And in their wins so far this season, their defense has been good to great. And, in this weekend's game, it was closer to the great side. They were swarming. They rebounded well. They stopped penetration. They're one of their staples has been defending the 3 well, and they did that one quarter against I think it was against Memphis. They held them to 0% from 3-point land. So when you're bottling up guys like that, in the 3-point happy league, then that's going to lead to some success. But their interior defense is improving. Just their total team defense as a unit is improving. They look like they're getting more cohesive and starting to trust each other a little more. Guys are rotating, guys are putting in the extra effort, stepping in and taking charges. So, Wes Unseld said it from day one that defense was going to be a priority, and they're buying in, and that's pretty much all you can ask. It helps that they've added some veterans to the squad who excel on that side of the floor. So, when it's 5 people doing it, you feel much better about it. And, it's more likely to be contagious as opposed to just one guy, playing great defense and the other 4 guys just kind of out there. It gets tiresome, man. We saw that in Spurs last year where, you have like Rui was their most consistent defender. And then when they added Gafford, he was a deterrent at the rim. But if you're a big, you don't want to have to be that safety blanket every single play. If guys are continuously getting beat and people aren't rotating, you're going to be a little hesitant to come over because then they just dump the ball off to your man. And it looks like you're getting killed. So, so it's good to see that, that side of the ball is improving vastly. On offense, man, Bradley Beal's starting to heat up. Against Milwaukee, he controlled the game beautifully. That might have been his best game this season so far. He had 30 points. He just orchestrated everything. Spencer Dinwiddie had a slow night, but he had a clutch 3 at the end to pretty much seal the game. And it came from Bill was double teamed kind of far out. He got rid of the ball quick to Denny. Then he made a quick pass to Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie hit the 3, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Now that's a good win over the defending champs. They were missing a couple guys. Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez were out, and Drew Holiday was just coming back from injury. So they were pretty much solely dependent on Giannis. And No, yeah, man. The Wizards were able to come away with the win. They held them in check. They did their thing. They gave the home crowd something to cheer about, and it's good to be optimistic about this team. Much was made about the trades, and they're panning out. I mean, they got 5 guys back, and pretty much all of them are contributing. So you really can't ask for much more than that. Moving on to the Go-Go, they had a wild game on Friday against Westchester Knicks. They were down 21-0 at one point, and they came back and won. So yeah, that should let you know how that game went. But they look like they're responding to Coach Williams. Jordan Goodwin has been the breakout star at this point. He posted back-to-back 30-point games. They had a doubleheader against Westchester. They played them Friday and Saturday and won both games. They were down on Saturday as well, just not not to that extent. But they were able to come back and win that game, and that's a good sign when you have a young team like this with and they're showing this resiliency this early. Of course, the goal is not to have to come back from large deficits every game, but the fact that they're able to buckle down and get these wins is it's a good sign for them. But like I said, good one standing out. Jaime Ekanike, man, he's going to be good, man. He's kind of raw right now, but he's got soft hands, nice touch around the basket. He protects the rim on defense, and he pretty much just knows how to throw his body around. And if when all else fails, you can just be bigger and stronger than the guy in front of you. And he's shown he's not afraid to do that. So yeah, man, go off to a good start. Wizards keeping up their momentum. So man, it looks like it could potentially be a good basketball season in Washington.
Man, how about that? After for the past couple of years, when there really wasn't anything to be excited about at all, instead of crazy talk about from certain person's fan base about the good despite all the bad that was happening. Again, I'll go back to the biggest thing. They bought into this coach, and that's kind of a big deal when people start throwing around the coaching type things. People buying in kind of matters. So kudos to this group. I feel like Ray mentioned, a lot of it has to do with the fact that veterans came back in that trade. They got adults back. This is not a lottery-led type team. So that's cool. We're going to take our first break. When we get back, be hearing from Cardell, calling in from GW. Again, told you guys, college basketball officially started today, and I think I got to attend the earliest game of the day that kicked off college basketball season, which was kind of cool. And also not fun if you live in the area. You know what it's like trying to get to College Park, between 9 and 11 a.m. Fun times. Yeah. Well, we'll see you on the other side of this break. You watch fun at all. What's up, Cardell? Can you hear us? We can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can now. Yeah. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to welcome us back in and let you go. And then as soon as you're done, I'm just going to pick up with Maryland and keep it moving like that. So that way to make it easy so it's not back and forth. So. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, we got Cardell Dudley Jr. joining us live from GW. What's the latest with GW's college basketball kicks off today?
Yeah, it's season opener for both the men's and women's. And the women's tipped off at 5:30. It was a slow start, opening season jitters, opening game jitters, as you expect. But GW women, they fought. They came back from a halftime deficit, 23-20 to defeat Stanford American 58-47. The defense was ideal for what GW, new head coach Caroline McCombs, what she's been stating she wanted from the time she was hired. The Colonials held American to 40% shooting from the field, 18% shooting from deep, and they forced a ton of turnovers. And honestly, the turnovers is what won the game for them. GW forced 24 American turnovers and scored 26 points off of them. That's how they overcame their 40% shooting from the field and 15% shooting from deep. Mayo Taiwo, she held GW down in the first half, but when they were struggling offensively, she finished with a near double-double, 10.7 rebounds and 2 assists. Ty Moore, local product out of Forestville, transfer from Troy. She put on the show. She had a game high 18 points, game high 11 rebounds and 2 steals and 9 shooting from the field. She got game, man. Whenever the offense broke down, they needed a bucket. It was like light work for her to go one on one to make something happen. And when she made something happen, and got some room, got some space, she scored at will. They haven't had a hooper like that since John Quill named here. I'm not saying she's John Quill. I'm just saying somebody that talented where you can kind of just, just give them the ball and make something happen. They haven't had those type of players since John Quill was here, so it's good to see. You'll hear her name a lot throughout the season. Seeing point guard from American Jade Edwards, who was the Patriot League preseason player of the year. After averaging 17-7 last season, she led American with 14 points, 4 assists, and 4 steals in the loss. Her mid-range game is ridiculous. She didn't miss a beat. She shot 6 of 16 from the field, all 3 from deep. Most of those misses were at the basket. GW's was a little bit bigger, a little bit more athletic up front. But from mid-range, I don't think she missed at all. So I see why she's preseason player of the year, one of the best players in the area, collegiately. GW will host number 24 Virginia Tech Thursday at 7 p.m. And for the fellas, they're playing right now. They're up 20-12. 9:07 left in the first half against St. Francis. Brandon Adams, a UConn transfer, he's playing well. He has 8 points, my fault. He has 8 points and 2 rebounds and 3 shooters. Ricky Leno Jr. Has 5 points, 2 rebounds and 2 blocks, but his defense is outstanding, man. His defense, the way he can guard all positions, the way he swarms, how intelligent he is, reminds me a lot of Draymond Green. He's more slender, a little bit taller, more athletic, but he's not as strong as Draymond. But the way he can cover ground, Draymond Lock, and he's smart as hell. His IQ on that end of the floor is off the charts now. Right now, defensively, they're holding the same price as a 22% shooting from the field, 4 of 18. That tells you all you need to know. Right now, GW shooting 43% from the field, 37% from 3. And the same thing with them opening game jitters and whatnot. They're not in the rhythm. James Bishop hasn't really got going. He hasn't scored yet. And last year he led the conference in scoring. So when he gets going, they'll probably break this game open. And as long as they keep doing what they're doing.
All right, we appreciate you checking in. Enjoy the rest of the game. And for everyone that follows GW on a regular basis, get over to Finance Mag, and then of course the FocusTV.com. As there'll be many more games to come this season. Many more games. Sticking with college basketball, was in College Park this morning. Maryland had their season opener when they hosted Longwood. It was a field trip day game, which means kids screaming a lot. It also means hearing Baby Shark at least 3 times. So fun times this morning. The Terps beat Longwood 97-67. 5 Terps scored in double figures. Angel Reese led the way with a career high 21 points and 14 rebounds. If you want a little bit more detailed breakdown of today's game, the recap's up at thefocustv.com. You can also see recaps from their first 2 exhibition games as well. They beat Fairmont State 120-67, and then Georgian Court 125-33. As for just like a brief outlook on this group for Maryland, they're going to be led by all their players that came back. Truly, Chloe Bibby, Katie Benson, Mimi Collins, and then their dynamic duo of Diamond Miller and Ashley Owusu. Faith Masonis is a good six women off the bench. She's great in that role. A player to keep your eye on, like definitely to keep your eye on, as Maryland's kind of going through it early without the services of Diamond Miller, who's out with knee injury, I believe. So they're waiting for a return. In the meantime, Brenda's busy compiling, NBA, not NBA, I'm sorry, WNBA type size on the wings. So enter freshman Cheyenne Sellers. Cheyenne is 6'2". She's a guard. So that's 6 foot Ashley Owusu, 6'3" Diamond Miller, and 6'2" Cheyenne Sellers, all listed as guards for Maryland. Brenda, so far through the 2 exhibition games and today her official debut as a Terrapin, has deployed her as a weapon defensively. Really take advantage of that versatility. While Shanice Lewis she's on the mend, she's still working her way back. Cheyenne Sellers has gotten a lot of time as the backup point guard, which is fun. Again, just interesting to see how Brenda's taken full use of all the different things she can do. And we've seen her improve little by little. It's only been 3 games, but again, it's a freshman. She kind of learned from some of the turnovers. Coach Bree said that's one of the things she's been kind of firm on. Like, obviously, you're gonna have ups and downs with freshmen, no matter how talented they may be. She took better care of the ball today, as far as the assist to turnover ratio goes. She also has 17. So as a freshman, your first official collegiate game, 17 isn't bad. We got to see a little bit more of her full offensive game earlier today against Longwood. In the first 2 exhibition games, just doing things like running the floor here and there, every once in a while posting a smaller guard because they clearly have a size advantage through the first few teams they've played. But the barometer for this group, just like Ray mentioned, how Cardell, and myself have been screaming about the Wizards for a while, is what they do on the defensive end. That's what it is for the Maryland women. They had the number 1 offense in college basketball last year. Not worried about how they get points. They just have to defend. And it's about defending for as much of the 40 minutes as they can, if not all of them. That's going to be the challenge every night for them. Perfect example today, they definitely didn't do that in the first quarter. That's why it was tied at 21 after the first quarter. You saw them kind of buckle down midway through the second quarter, and they definitely were strapping in the third quarter. And that's how they got their separation. Those scores that I mentioned previously in exhibition games, they did a little bit better job defensively. But, again, it's 3 games in, still got a long way to go. There's no reason to make sweeping indictments on anything. Earlier, before the show started, got an email saying that dynamic duo, the junior pair of Diamond Miller and Ashley Owusu, they were named to 3 award lists. So that's the Wooden Award, the top 50, then the Wooden Award top 50, the Wade Watch, and the Naismith Trophy watch list for the National Player of the Year honors. So congrats to them for being named to all 3 as a pair. Again, just a reminder of what Maryland's looking to do this season. They have high goals. They want to kind of, they still got a sour taste in their mouth for how the season ended last year in the NCAA tournament, I believe, when they lost to Texas. So, they're trying to get back in their non-conference schedule. They're one of the several teams that stockpile their non-conference schedule, and it's going to get a little tough very soon. Starting with, they got Villanova coming in on Friday. In a couple weeks, Baylor. I think they're playing South Carolina. They're going to test themselves before the conference play starts, and the Big Ten's tough as is. A lot of those lists that went around that came out for preseason, player of the year at different positions. The Big Ten that was very well represented on that list. So shout out to the conference as a whole. We're gonna move to the 9-4-50 this week. It's a breakdown of a high post scoring option. Jamaal Haywood in the 9-4-50. This week, it's a breakdown of a high post scoring option. We'll see you guys when we return from our second break.
Today we're going to work on a mid-post move from the high post. Bigger guards, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and some 5s can utilize this move as well. Also, I'm going to show it to you guys both ways. One dribble, that's all it takes. So, I'm going to start using my left foot as my pivot foot, so I'm facing the basket here. Now, there's different ways to set the move up here, but I'm using my imagination. If I have someone guarding me here, I'm in my triple threat position, so I want to make sure that I'm hiding the balls either on my left side or my right side, not right in front of the defender. So I have the ball on my right side. And like I said, I'm using this left foot as my pivot. So I'm going to step over here to create a back down action. So I'm going to step over here and create this back down action. Now, when I back down, this is the key part of this move. I want to create space. I want to make contact with that defender and get them to back up. So when I step over here, I want the step over to be aggressive. When I take that one dribble, create space with this back there, okay? Now, once I feel that their body has backed up, I can fade back for the shot. Now, if you're really skillful or you want to be really skillful, you can use the glass for the shot, or you can just shoot it in regular. So here how it looks live. Same thing the other side. Aggressive step over. Make that defender move. If the step over is slow, you're not going to move. So I'm here. I step over. Fade. It's a guardable shot. Today we're going to work on a mid-post move from the high post. Bigger guards, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and some 5s can utilize this move as well. Also, I'm going to show it to you guys both ways. One dribble, that's all it takes. So I'm going to start using my left foot as my pivot foot, so I'm facing the basket here. Now, there's different ways to set the move up here, but I'm using my imagination. If I have someone guarding me here, I'm in my triple threat position, so I want to make sure that I'm hiding the balls either on my left side or my right side, not right in front of the defender. So I have the ball on my right side. Like I said, I'm using this left foot as my pivot. So I'm going to step over here to create a back down action. So I'm going to step over here and create this back down action. Now, when I back down, this is the key part of this move. I want to create space. I want to make contact with that defender and get them to back up. So when I step over here, I want the step over to be aggressive. When I take that one dribble, create space with this back there, okay? Now, once I feel that their body has backed up, I can fade back for the shot. Now, if you're really skillful or you want to be really skillful, you can use the glass for the shot, or you can just shoot it in regular. So here how it looks live. Same thing the other side. Aggressive step over. Make that defender move. If the step over is slow, you're not going to move. So I'm here. I step over. Fade. It's a guardable shot.
Welcome back to the Focus TV. Special thanks to Jamaal Haywood for knocking out the 9-4-50 breakdown this week. Before we get the rapid fire, told you guys keep you updated on what happened with DC United. It was decision day in the MLS, which is always fun because it is exactly what it means. You find out who makes the postseason and who doesn't. It is really simple. As for DC United, they were going into this one. Told you guys because of a couple opportunities that they missed. They were going to need to win their match against Toronto and then get a little bit of help. First thing first, they had to beat Toronto. They did just that to the tune of 3-1. Steven Birbaum scored the opening goal on a header off a corner from Julian Gressel in the 14th minute. Toronto pulled even when Richie Laria's shot got past Hamid. He took that shot kind of with a little bit of a crowd in front of Hamid. So Bill picked up the shot a little late, so he wasn't able to get to it. So it ended up being 1-1. DC United did respond quickly, though. Ola Kamara was taken down by keeper Quentin Westberg in the 30th minute. It was a beautiful through ball that was played to him. He was able to beat the keeper to the ball and get a touch on it. And that's why I was able to draw the PK. To no one's surprise, when Ola's had opportunities to step up to that dotted line and convert penalty kicks, he's done just that. So he gave DC United a 2-1 lead. Several minutes later, I think it was about 6, we want to be specific, 6 minutes later, Kamara deflected a shot from Julian Gressel past Toronto's keeper to put the black and red up 2. While DC United was able to hold on for the win, they were let down by the Red Bulls. What they needed was Nashville to beat the Red Bulls. Nashville was up 1-0. Unfortunately, for DC United, the Red Bulls were able to draw even with Nashville, effectively ending the Black and Reds postseason hopes. In terms of what Coach Hernan Losada had to say following the match, it's what to be expected. He talked about how proud he was of the group, that they rarely had consistency of any kind in terms of starting the same 11 this year. They had at least 25 plus different starting lineups this year. It's hard to gel and really for folks to settle in their roles in a situation like that. Similar to how we talked with the Wizards under a new regime and a new coach, fortunately for Coach Unseld, he's had everyone outside of TB and Rui available to get acclimated to this process where he's trying to install everything. For Hernan Losada, he did not have any such luck. They were missing people out the lineup all through the year. Still, they won 14 games, which was good compared to, I think they only won 5 last year. He said he was disappointed to have missed the postseason by just 1 point. They routinely talk during the season about the jump they made this year versus how they finished last year, which there was a stark contrast in that. In terms of going forward, he mentioned wanting to be part of the decision-making and improving the roster. He's been low-key lobbying all year when DC United's had games against some of the other teams in the league where they clearly spend on what's on the field. So he's been lobbying for them to open to loosen those purse strings just a little bit so they can go out and acquire some pieces. I'll keep you updated once the offseason starts to let you know any changes that are made between now and next season. I would definitely say that Losada's brand of soccer is definitely worth watching. I definitely enjoyed each and every game they played this year. Outside of one, I think just the one game I did enjoy was when they got housed by NYCFC, and no one enjoyed that game. Outside of that, like the style of play that they have, you can see that it is effective. And then it's just about growing in the system. And, we always talk about when folks take over, coaches come in or regimes come in, no matter the sport, you got to give them, 2 to 3 years before they can fully get the people they want in their system. And that's not an indictment on anybody that's here, but rarely do you get to go in and start from ground zero and handpick everything. You don't. That's just, it is what it is. There's nothing wrong. It's not a knock on anybody who's here, but you can see during this year, they created so many chances. They scored a ton of goals. But there's some things where, you can fine tune here, you can improve here and there. One thing I would definitely like to see, they need to add a little bit more, they need a little bit more pace out there. You need a little bit more speed out there, the style that they want to play. They need to be able to put more pressure on opposing defenses. And they got to be, no matter how they go about it, they have to improve in finishing because they create so many chances. I'm not saying you're to score 5 goals every game, but you need to get to the place where you're efficient in that manner. So if you get 7 quality chances, I need you to start finishing at least 3 of them. If you get 2 quality chances in a tough game, finish at least 1 of them. Like that's where you need to go to be a good team. And again, it wasn't a bad first year at all. Like they had 5 wins last year. They were not this, and the brand of soccer is it's so much better to watch. Trust me when I say that. So we're gonna move on to rapid fire. Got some pretty big shoes to fill, but we're not gonna waste any time. Odell Beckham Jr. is free. Cleared waivers today. That was a big thing everybody was interested in. Teams had an opportunity to claim them up until 4 p.m. today. If you did put in a claim, you had to have at least $7.25 million available to sign him. Therefore, the NFL, being the good people that they are, no, we're not going to pay anyone that we deem a quote-unquote malcontent. Also, smart teams, I'm not going to put that money in either because I might be able to get you for less now, promise you the bag later, and we have a nice, happy marriage. And that's our business. And then you get to pick and choose. So that's something to keep your eye on. So I want to ask you both. I'll start with you. Where is Odell going? I don't care about the drama with that stuff that everyone else wanted to talk about. I don't care about it. Focus on going forward because it's rare that players like this, I don't care if he actually did lose a step or 2, I still don't care. Those players don't end up free in the middle of the year at all. So
If Odell lost a step or two, he's still better than majority of the wide receivers in the league. So I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. Obviously, it just wasn't a good fit for him in Cleveland, as we could see. I never understood why he went there in the first place when he left New York. I thought he would make a bigger splash somewhere else, but here we are, and he's back on the market again. There's so many different reports and so many different strategies and thought processes of where he could possibly end up. I don't want to see him anywhere in the NFC East, and I'm sure he doesn't want to be here either. Outside of course, the Cowboys, but they're kind of good in the wide receiver department, I would think. It's really hard to see where he could possibly end up. I could see him in LA just because they got a lot going on out there, but I still think that that's kind of wide receiver heavy as well. Cooper Kupp is doing his thing. Robert Woods is still there. Van Jefferson is nothing to sneeze at, which is the reason Deshaun Jackson got released in the first place and is in Las Vegas. I could see him in Las Vegas as well since they had to get rid of Henry Ruggs. And if anybody knows, I know Deshaun Jackson is not going to make it through the remaining of the season without getting hurt. So you can go ahead and stamp that. He would be the guy. So I just think it depends on where he wants to go, if he's going to be considered to himself the guy, or if he's going to be what they consider a role player, or if he's looking, to go to an immediate contender. I hate to say he could end up in the Patriots. He could be, a Randy Moss situation out there, and Mac Jones is nothing to sneeze at. But I think he's really looking for a poised veteran quarterback. So I would lean more towards either LA or Seattle. But again, who the heck knows what Odell Beckham Jr. is thinking in his head? He's just probably glad he didn't get claimed and go to some random school. He was happy he made it through waivers and nobody that he hates picked him up. Can you imagine if the Detroit Lions we'll claim lost his mind?
Hey man, to go from Baker to Goff, that's the question. You might pull a Calvin, just be like, I'm good. I'm good. It's not working. I'm good. Ray, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. Like Octavia said, there's not many places where he can go where it's going to be mutually beneficial. That's a very short list. He doesn't want to go to a dumpster fire situation, and I think he said he wants to go to a contender. So, but a lot of those teams are set at wide receiver. Not saying that they won't take the chance to get somebody with his talent on the team. But, of course, his health is going to be a concern. It's just a lot with this situation, man. But yeah, I could see the Rams or Seattle or the Raiders, seeing as how they what they went through with Henry Ruggs. So those are my top three on my bingo card right now. I just don't see another situation where it makes sense,
I think that's fair. That's why
I wanted to throw out there that I just forgot too is maybe the Ravens. Lamar's really looking for a number one, although Marquise Brown has, been better. Mark Andrews is his go-to. They got Sammy Watkins who ain't did squat, so I don't know how that's gonna go. So I can kind of see Lamar, he definitely will be immediate number one, and it's not like they're not contenders. So that's another kind of one. I know people are throwing out Kansas City, but I just think it's not enough balls to go around with Tyreek and Travis, and then their running game. So those are the only things I can think of. But it's gonna be super. I'm like, I wish they would hurry up and sign them. It's like whoever's gonna do it, because I just really want to know at this point.
Yeah, I'm interested in the decision because I think why he's taking his time, it's about more than just this year. That's why I'm anxious to see how he looks at it. Like I think some people might look at it like, oh, it's just a year and a half a half season rental. Well, maybe not to him. Maybe he's trying to take his time to choose because the last time, we're here right now. So clearly the last time he chose, things didn't go well, So maybe he might take a little bit of time and be a little bit more a little more methodical in making that decision this go round. Like Octavia mentioned, the Ravens for sure. You can go there and it wouldn't mess with none of the other wide receivers. And the two wide receivers on their team that matter, they're babies. They're on their rookie contracts. They can pay you like immediately, and it won't affect anything in life. They got to empty the bank for Lamar, but you obviously want him there. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Another place is, I hate to be rude, but Green Bay. How about giving Aaron something outside of Devonte? No disrespect to any of the other people that accidentally sometimes get the ball every once in a while, accidentally. That would be fun where Devonte could look over and be like, talent, and they could point back at each other, talent. Not to knock the other guys that are there, just being honest, because there's time when Aaron will look you guys off in situations and be like, Devontae's double teamed. How can I get the ball to him? That's what he says.
Yeah.
He knows you guys
There's levels to this.
Doesn't care. And I tell you, I know what you said about KC. I wouldn't be so quick about that because no disrespect. The way things been going, they might want to get something else to make things easier for other people because they going through some things trying to force them.
That's the other thing I keep wondering about. What are they doing with Josh Gordon? Is he just hanging around?
I forgot he was even there.
Exactly. So that's my only. That was the only caveat for that. Like, what are they doing with him?
I get you, and no disrespect to Josh Gordon, but like Odell wasn't available then.
That's true. That's true.
At that time, Odell wasn't out there. It wasn't. We took Josh instead of Odell. It was okay, Josh. Come on. Now it's Odell's out here too. Then my all-time favorite rule: if it's a talented player looking for a home, they're coming to the NFC West. So I can see any of the three teams that I don't root for. Ray, it's a law. I don't know why you're laughing. And Octavia, I think you both forgot to mention the Cardinals as an option. Y'all remember how the Green Bay game ended, right? When AJ, I guess, forgot that he was an option as a receiver and he threw the ball to Rashad Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
Again, not to be mean, like AJ Green, you appreciate everything you've done. Odell wasn't available when they picked you up. Not trying to be rude.
This is true.
Being honest. Just being completely honest. Seattle, why not? Y'all going to end up, Russell's going to run around in a circle and throw the thing up anyways. Why not? Give him another weapon, right? Just somebody got to get the ball. The Patriots could be one. Although, actually, the Patriots probably near the top of my list. Because the one thing that I give Matt credit for, not to knock his other quarterbacks that he's played with recently, if you're where you're supposed to be, that ball coming out. Mac ain't playing. There's no cut cards or nothing. Mac knows how to get the ball to special players. He did it in college. Him and his noodle arm figured out a way where they threw deep balls in Alabama all the time. He was like, oh, you beat him in 2 steps. I'm going to throw it now so the ball's there when you get there. So that might be a thing that opens up that New England offense because they almost got to run trick plays to get explosives at this point. So that's just where I'm at with it. I mean, we will see. But, there's only one rapid fire question today. Cardell will be back next week with more rapid fire because I don't like the pressure.
Gosh, and who knows what's going to happen for the rest of this week.
Yeah, see, you guys got a break. You got a little reprieve. He'll be back next week where, you get a whole actual segment. And I hope you guys are ready for that. We want to thank you guys for tuning in, as always. Like Ray mentioned earlier, if you follow the Wizards, Wizards Outlook, got that each and every night after they finish playing, whether it's home or away. Check that out. Don't forget to get over to thefocustv.com. College basketball recaps and such will be over there. And then Monday mornings, NFL wrap-up show, Octavia gets to delve a little bit more deeper into, and she actually gets to talk NFL, not just NFC East. So the actual entire NFL. So, don't miss
like the
that.
good part of the NFL outside of the Cowboys. The good part of the NFL outside of
You said we need to rename this the Tuesday version, the Wednesday version to the Cowboys Talk.
I mean, we might as well at this point, Only thing I'll say too is like I know on Sunday we talked about changing the name of one of the segments to Mr. Sam Darnold, but we might not be able to. He's not going to play now, so
It still applies. Was he playing when he was playing?
He was playing for the other
It still
team.
applies. He's playing for somebody, just not who employs him. But we're going to see you guys next week. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Again, Wednesday mornings, 9 a.m. on our Roku channel. Friday nights, 10 p.m. on DCTV. Don't forget to get over to dctv.org to find when the show re-airs throughout the weekend. For Octavia, Raymond, Cardell, and myself, y'all have a great evening. We'll see you guys soon.